Looking at alkanes. Now, if you remember from what you've sort of gone through in the course materials so far, you'll recognize that alkanes are hydrocarbons where all the carbon atoms are single bonded together. So we're always going to see a single bond from one carbon to the next in our chain. That's what's going to make it an alkane. And if we have a general formula for an alkane, so if we were given a chemical formula, we can tell that it's an alkane by looking to see if it follows this pattern. So C, where N is the number of carbons, and for hydrogen, we would have 2N plus 2. So if it follows that pattern, it's going to be considered an alkane. So if we look at an example like butane, okay, we're going to get into naming later in the course, but butane has the formula C4H10. Okay, so 4 carbons, and then if we follow that 2N plus 2, so 2 times 4 would be 8, plus 2 more would be 10, so that's where the H10 comes from. And if we were to draw this to see what it would look like, we know that all the carbons have single bonds. And then we know we have to put 10 hydrogens around it. So there's only one bond to each hydrogen because that will fill the hydrogen's bonding capacity. And you'll notice that we end up with all the rest of the bonds to carbon. Remember, carbon can make 4 bonds. So all the remaining bonds that carbon has to make are to hydrogen. And there's our alkane. Right, so we've got an example of butane there. We could try it with a 6 carbon, so C6. And then if we follow our same pattern, 2N plus 2, the hydrogens would have to be 2 times 6, which is 12, plus 2 more would give us 14. Now, as we get into naming, this is going to be called hexane. Okay, but again, we've got this hydrocarbon. We know it's an alkane because the formula is C6H14. Or you'll notice if you look at the name, see how the name ends in ane for each of these, right? That's the other little trick. By looking at the name, you can see that the name is going to end in ane, okay? So I'll just write that in there as well. And so if we're looking at our example of hexane, C6H14, again, we know because it's ane, all the carbons, all 6 of them are single bonded together. And then it's just a matter of bonding in all our hydrogens. So we're going to place our 14 hydrogens around that hydrocarbon. And there is our alkane. Right, so these are alkanes.